One thing that's interesting, actually, just seeing that, is to make sure we can label who people are. As we all know, photos are wonderful, but 20 years later, you don't know who the people were. So, while we're still fresh enough to know who those were, because there was one or two there where I thought, who's that? So we're all clear enough for the rest of the... So this afternoon, obviously, keynote speech followed by discussion about the keynote speech. Just again, it really will be the resonances of that in relation to national context and the sharing of those experiences and awareness. The two sessions on Saturday morning, which are about these 7 sub-themes, be sure to go to the ones that you and your institution are most interested in, so that we get a record of that. And we will then have the tour and cruise on the Saturday afternoon, the library session on Sunday morning, followed by the report back from the various sessions which act as a collation, and sharing for those who weren't in the other 5 sessions from the 2 they attended, to know what the direction of travel is in those other 5 sessions. Once those are codified, of course, people may even decide that actually their real enthusiasm might be for a different session to where they registered on Saturday.
Just asking if people found that these 7 sub-themes, that some of them are actually linked together.
Yes.
Do we, by Sunday, maybe we might find that it's only 5 sub-themes that is equivalent to what we do. What's your plan for that?
Well, the thought was that although they can, there's a sense in which ultimately they all link to each other. So, for example, we had a discussion the other day whether, teaching and learning and research should be potentially linked. And actually, on the other hand, while there's a lot of possibility for crossover, having the focus on the 2 different areas will give greater connectivity. Another one, for example, celebrating the new and Southeast Asian music traditions can interlink very, very easily. So the thought was that there's enough of content in the each field that the risk is if we link them, they water down rather from where they are. So that's what the current thinking is. But the problem is if you have 7 themes, then you can only go to 2/7 of them. If you had 5 themes, you go to 2/5 of them. So it's for example, we might get to 9 o'clock on tomorrow morning and no one comes to one session. Well, that's really clear. So we can either decide that we don't need so many themes, or we combine or something. It's like, I was running a session in Singapore a few weeks ago for children 5 to 8, and what musical instruments were they interested in? And it was, everybody came to the string session for well, not everybody, but a large group came to the string section for the first one, and then they all went to the wind and brass one for the second one, because it was sort of like they had a hierarchy of where they wanted to be. And it was sort of slightly entertaining. You would ask all of the students in all the sessions, percussion was incredibly popular. You ask all the students in all the sessions in Singapore, what did they play, and it was piano. So we actually weren't running a piano session because we thought we would have been completely taken over by it. So it was just fascinating to see how once you get these self-selections, it can go sort of in all sorts of weird ways. So one part of me sort of says, can I have a show of hands now who's going to 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 to 5 to 6 to 7? It wouldn't be quite so exciting as if we just leave it to what happens tomorrow morning. So we can do that. So we may have to think on our feet at 9 o'clock when no one's up and nobody's in any of the 7 sessions. So please could we be there for 9 o'clock tomorrow morning? Okay, anything else? Just to thank you all, because this has been a complex, there's a lot of talking through stuff to get going with this, and it's great to see that we've been able to get things done so efficiently and smoothly, and the ambition is that we try to get to every meal early. So we look like we can do it on, this was the one I was most worried about, but it looks like we can do it by 12:30. So we've got an hour and a half until, an hour and 3/4 in fact, until the 2 o'clock session. which will be back in here. Any final questions, any final thoughts? Anything, Joe, administratively we need to clarify?
After we take our group photo of the evening, we're done for the day. The evening is your own. If you have a desire to go into the city, then you please ask our staff about ways to get in there easily. There are still protests. If you see large groups of people walking down the street, walk the other way. You don't need to be around them. But mostly they're pretty peaceful and confined, but they do go marching from time to time.
On Friday evenings particularly, or? Great, thank you very, very much.